Welcome back. You're watching WION The World is One, and this is World DNA with me, Jyotsna Kumar. Let's start with the headlines. Intense Israeli night strikes rock suburbs of South Beirut. Lebanese media says 5 violent Israeli strikes hit late on Saturday. This after the Israeli army stepped up calls to evacuate the area it claims is a Hezbollah bastion. IDF releases detailed video of Hezbollah tunnel in South Lebanon. It shows a well-equipped living area and kitchen. It claims Hezbollah's advanced forces were using the tunnel as a base to launch attacks. Ahead of anniversary of the Gaza war, thousands hold pro-Palestinian protests around the world. Demonstrators march through central London. Protests in Paris, Rome, Manila, Cape Town, and other cities. Donald Trump addresses campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, the spot where there was an assassination attempt against him in July. Says time stood still, calls the would-be assassin a vicious monster. Resident doctors in West Bengal to begin fast unto death after what they see as spurning of their demands by the West Bengal government. Doctors had demanded better security measures and ending of an alleged threat culture. Maldives president reaches India today on his first bilateral visit to the country. Big focus on talks amid earlier negative signals from the Maldives that could decide the way forward for the relationship. China's Xi Jinping and North Korea's Kim Jong-un vow enhanced bilateral cooperation on the 75th anniversary of establishment of diplomatic ties between the two countries. Congratulatory messages exchanges on the occasion on Sunday. Manchester City beat Fulham. Now we begin in West Asia. Israeli airstrikes pounded Beirut's southern suburbs overnight. Explosions were heard for over 2 hours in one of the most intense barrages yet. Footage showed fireballs and plumes of smoke rising from the targeted areas. Official Lebanese media said 5 Israeli strikes hit South Beirut and its outskirts, 4 of them very violent. The strikes came after the Israeli army urged residents in South Beirut to evacuate as it continued to target Hezbollah positions in the Lebanese capital. Dozens of people on the streets were spotted fleeing on foot or on motorbikes. The Israeli army said it was currently striking terror targets belonging to the Hezbollah group. Israeli forces also released a video which it has said showed its forces identifying and sealing Hezbollah tunnels in Lebanon. The IDF claimed to have destroyed 250 meters of terror infrastructure and found equipment they said was to be used in attacks on Israel. The Hezbollah was quick to respond as explosions were heard over northern Israel. A red alert was issued and the Iron Dome was triggered. Several flashes were reflected on the buildings below as interceptors were deployed. Hezbollah also said its fighters pushed away Israeli troops that attempted to storm into a Lebanese border village early on Sunday. The Iran-backed group said in a statement that fighters launched artillery shells at Israeli enemy soldiers who attempted to infiltrate. This comes after reports said that Israeli strikes hit health facilities in Lebanon. At least 4 hospitals in the country announced the suspension of work. The UNHCR chief warned about strikes hitting health care after Israel struck what it says are Hezbollah targets. The International Committee of the Red Cross says it has delivered 17 tons of medical supplies to Beirut as the Lebanese capital faces continued Israeli airstrikes. The ICRC said the shipment from Geneva included surgical material and equipment for handling trauma injuries, burns, and other needs. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that Israeli military has succeeded in destroying much of Hezbollah's arsenal, adding that they have changed the course and balance of the war against the group. Israel's army chief Herzi Halevi has reiterated his vow to keep hitting Hezbollah without concessions and without respite. He has assured that there will be no let-up in the military's battle, saying that they must continue to apply pressure on Hezbollah and do additional and continual damage. Israel Defense Forces have released a new video claiming to show a 250-meter tunnel near the South Lebanon border. Hezbollah's Radwan forces allegedly used this well-equipped tunnel as a base for their operations against Israel. Take a look at this report. And reports suggest that Hezbollah has lost contact with the potential successor to slain leader Hassan Nasrallah after an Israeli strike that is reported to have targeted him. Hashem Safieddin has been unreachable after Israel attacked an underground bunker in Beirut suburbs on Friday. Take a look at this report.
A Lebanese security source said on Saturday that the man thought likely to be taking over as Hezbollah's leader has been out of contact since Friday. That's after an Israeli airstrike reportedly targeted Hashem Safieddin in Beirut's southern suburbs late on Thursday. The security source and 2 others said ongoing strikes have kept rescue workers from scouring the site of the attack. An Israeli lieutenant colonel said on Friday that the military was still assessing the Thursday night airstrikes. He said they had targeted Hezbollah's intelligence headquarters. Hezbollah has made no comment so far on Safieddin since the attack. Israeli strikes have eliminated much of Hezbollah's senior military leadership. That includes Hassan Nasrallah, killed on September 27th. The loss of Safieddin, his rumoured successor, would be another blow to the group and its patron, Iran. Israel has staged a nightly targeting of Beirut's southern suburbs, known as Dahia. It was once a bustling and densely populated area of Beirut, and also a Hezbollah stronghold. Large parts of the area have now been reduced to rubble. Israel's assault in the country has killed hundreds of ordinary Lebanese, according to officials. Almost a quarter of the population, around 1.2 million people, are said to have fled their homes. The Lebanese government has accused Israel of targeting civilians. Israel accuses Hezbollah and Hamas of hiding among the population. It says it targets military capabilities and takes steps to mitigate the risk of harm to civilians. In Beirut's southern suburbs on Saturday, Abu Hussein held up his dead pet birds. These, he says, are the supposed weapons he had in his now destroyed home. Israel, he says, has violated humanity, human rights, and conscience. Also on Saturday, Israel expanded its conflict in Lebanon with its first strike in the northern city, Tripoli. A Lebanese security official said the attack on a Palestinian refugee camp killed a member of Hamas, his wife, and 2 children. The Israeli military did not comment on the strike.
An Israeli attack on Iran, a response to the firing on the 1st of October, may not be far. Israeli army officials and political leaders have repeatedly said a strong reply is in the offing, warning that the retaliatory attack will be serious and significant. Our next report tells you more.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu promised again in a video address on Saturday that a response was coming. He said no country would accept the kind of attack carried out by Iran on its cities and citizens, and that Israel would not either.
Iran has twice launched hundreds of missiles into our territory in one of the largest ballistic missile attacks in history. No country in the world would accept such an attack on its cities and citizens, and nor will Israel. Israel has the duty and the right to defend itself and respond to these attacks, and it will do so.
Given Iran's relatively weak air defenses, Israel's superior air force has a wide range of options it can target in Iran, a task in which it will be assisted by the US intelligence. The most likely targets would be sites or units associated with Iran's missile assault on Israel. This includes command and control centers, missile launch pads, fueling sites, and even commanders overseeing the country's ballistic missile arsenal. Israel could also opt to bomb Iran's oil refineries that are the country's economic lifelines. But for now, Israel is keeping everyone guessing on the parts of Iran's oil infrastructure that it will try to attack. Gasoline refineries that mainly serve Iran's domestic market are one possible target. Persian Gulf Star Plant is the most important domestic source of gasoline for Iran. It met 40% of the country's needs last year. A broader assault would be attacks on the oil terminals used to ship oil out of the country. This could mean hitting the Kurg oil terminal, located on an island off Iran's northwestern coast that handles over 90% of the country's oil exports. If Israel chooses to strike Iran's developing nuclear weapons program, the main sites include uranium enrichment centers in Fordo and Natanz, which are both deep underground under layers of rock and concrete. Another target could be the nuclear center outside Isfahan, a key element in its nuclear program. But the US has opposed any strikes on Iran's nuclear program, indicating it could lead to a wider conflagration.
The Israelis have not concluded what they're going to do in terms of a strike. That's under discussion. I think if I were in their shoes, I'd be thinking about other alternatives than striking oil fields.
Iran has issued a strong warning, claiming it won't back down from launching a crushing attack if Israel retaliates. The risk can only escalate further if Tehran chooses to launch attacks on Arab Gulf states that host US air bases or choose to plant sea mines in the Strait of Hormuz. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Moving to our coverage of the Russia-Ukraine war, Russian forces claim they have captured another village in eastern Ukraine near the city of Kurakovy. Now this as Moscow continued its steady advance in the Donetsk region. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, its forces liberated a village located close to Pokrovsk, a logistics hub for the Ukrainian army that is threatened by the advance of Russian troops. Separately, the Defense Ministry said that Russia had downed 10 Ukrainian drones overnight over its Belgorod, Voronezh, and Kursk region, which borders Ukraine. Russia launched its Ukraine offensive in February 2022 and currently occupies 18% of the country. Meanwhile, President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Saturday that he would attend an international meeting to discuss military support for Ukraine to be held in Germany next week. The military meeting at the U.S. Air Base near Frankfurt is expected to bring together over 50 of Ukraine's allies, including U.S. President Joe Biden. The last meeting in September was also at the same place, was attended by Zelensky, who appealed for additional weapons to repel advancing Russian forces. Ukraine, meanwhile, has upped the pressure on its Western supporters to be given authorization to use donated long-range weapons to strike military targets deep inside Russia. Russian forces have been advancing steadily in eastern Ukraine this year against outmanned and outgunned Ukrainian troops. But Ukraine is not giving up. It is finding new ways to use its thermite-spewing Dragon drones to burn Russian forces. They are now attacking their bunkers and tanks. Our next report tells you more about this new deadly weapon.
The Ukrainian armed forces have been using an age-old battlefield innovation. They are using drones to directly drop thermite on enemy targets. As thermite falls from the drone, it resembles fire coming out from the mouth of a mythical dragon. That is why the drones are dubbed Dragon drones. The first use of these weapons became public back in early September. Primarily used in grenades and artillery shells, among other applications, thermite is a combination of oxidized iron and aluminium that burns at about 2000 degrees Celsius. It can melt through metal, making it highly effective against bunkers, trenches, and even main battle tanks. The compound can be dropped or sprayed in a manner similar to a flamethrower. The combination of the searing heat of the thermite and the maneuverability and speed of a drone makes this a very lethal and versatile weapon. It was first discovered in the 1890s by a German chemist and originally used to weld railway tracks. Its military use was soon discovered. Germans dropped it from Zeppelins over Britain in World War I. Germany and allies also used it during World War II. The United States used it inside a grenade from the 1960s to 2014. Its production was started again in 2023. At first, the drones were being deployed to burn away the areas where Russians sought cover under the dense growth. Now, Ukraine has expanded its target list. Experts believe Russia is also trying to use similar systems, but to what extent remains unclear. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Moving on now. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump returned to Butler, Pennsylvania and held a campaign rally at the same venue where a gunman tried to assassinate him nearly 3 months ago. He began his speech with, "As I was saying," and gestured towards an immigration chart that he was looking at when the gunfire began, just as he had suggested he would weeks beforehand, standing behind a protective glass that now encases the stage at all his outdoor rallies. Trump called the would-be assassin a vicious monster and that he did not succeed by the grace of God.
For 16 harrowing seconds during the gunfire, time stopped as this vicious monster unleashed pure evil from his sniper's perch, not so far away. But by the hand of providence and the grace of God, that villain did not succeed in his goal, did not come close. He did not stop our movement. He did not break out our spirit. He did not shake our unyielding resolve to save America from evils of poverty, hatred, and destruction.
At 6:11 p.m., the exact time when gunfire erupted on July 13, Trump called for a moment of silence. A bell then tolled 4 times, once for each of the 4 victims, including Trump. The crowd appeared to be in the tens of thousands, many wearing Trump regalia. Some chanted the "Fight, Fight, Fight" slogan Trump used to rally his followers moments after he was shot. Meanwhile, among those attending was Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla and owner of social media platform X. It was his first time at a Trump campaign event since he endorsed the former president after July 13.
Hi everyone.
The true test of someone's character is how they behave under fire, Musk said, calling the election a must-win situation for Trump and urging the crowd to register to vote. Meanwhile, Trump's opponent Kamala Harris on Saturday was in North Carolina meeting first responders and people hit by Hurricane Helene, which killed at least 220 as it ripped through the southeast. Trump has criticized the federal response, alleging without evidence that the administration wrongly redirected relief funds to migrants. And moving on, Maldives President Mohamed Muizzu is set to begin his first bilateral visit to India on Sunday. The three-day visit comes amid soaring bilateral ties between India and the Maldives in the past year. India's Ministry of External Affairs said that President Muizzu is set to hold talks on several bilateral and international issues with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi on Monday. President Muizzu will also attend business forums in Mumbai and Bengaluru during the three-day visit. The Indian Foreign Ministry said that the island nation is a key maritime neighbor in the Indian Ocean region, while adding that the country holds a special place in India's neighborhood first policy. The three-day visit comes after ties between both the countries turned lukewarm in November last year. The Maldives president had asked India to withdraw its troops from the country. During a visit to China, Muizzu took potshots at India, alleging that New Delhi was a bully. However, Muizzu went back on his remarks and said that he is not against any country or pursuing an anti-India agenda. Recently, the president also suspended two of his ministers from his cabinet for making disparaging comments about the Indian Prime Minister Modi. Moving to some sports news, Novak Djokovic is on course to win his 100th ATP Tour title. The 24 Grand Slam champion defeated Alex Michelsen in straight sets to reach the third round of the Shanghai Masters. The fourth seed won just 4 points in the first three games against his American opponent, who raced to a 4-1 lead, a feat he has achieved twice en route to his record haul of 40 titles at this level. Djokovic is yet to win a title this season and aims to change that by claiming his sixth Shanghai Masters title. As Berlin celebrates 20th anniversary of Festival of Lights, the city soaks in color and creations. Take a look at these images as thousands gather to celebrate the festival. And with that, we call a wrap to this bulletin. Don't go anywhere. News and updates will follow on the other side. You're watching WION World is Fun. Stay tuned.
This week on the West Asia Post. In a massive strike, Iran rains missiles on Israeli spy and military bases. Israel vows to retaliate. This episode decodes the decades-long Israel-Iran conflict. Also on the show, Israeli forces suffer heavy losses as they launch a ground operation in Lebanon. And Hezbollah group mourns the death of its leader Hassan Nasrallah.